It's time for ROTD weekend. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to you and anyone in your life that you are celebrating today. I'm going to say that I'm taking today to make an announcement. I will tell you that I have been pretty overwhelmed over the last, few months, maybe a little bit longer than that. There's just a lot going on over here. Some of it to do with motherhood, my son graduating high school, heading off to college, planning for that. We have summer coming up and there's lots of planning for summer involved. And then my kids will be home for a lot of the summer too. So just a lot of that kind of thing and work kind of stuff. We launched the new part of the business, cookfor2.us, as you know, and that's taken a lot of my time. So yeah, I've just been a little bit more stressed out than usual. And so I have decided to take a bit of a break from this podcast. So what does that mean? I am not going to be recording any new episodes until October. But between now and October, there will be an episode from the archives from a few years ago. There will be an episode up every single day, 7 days a week. So you will hear my voice as much as you like. And there will be something new in your podcast feed for Recipe of the Day every day. They just won't be new episodes. And unlike in the past, when I have taken older episodes and put them into the podcast feed, usually I go back and listen and add some things, change some things around and, just polish them up if I'm going to put them up new. I'm not going to be doing that this time. I'm not listening to them. I am just going to be choosing them and putting them into the podcast feed. So they will be there. But if you hear me say, it's a lovely Monday and it's actually Wednesday, that will be why I'm not going to be listening to them ahead. And yeah, so I'm taking a little break. It's kind of crazy. Do you know that I have been doing this podcast for over 4.5 years? And for the first 3.5 years, it was every single day, 7 days a week. And then we moved to 3 days a week. There are 1,571 episodes if you include today's. That is a lot. And yeah, I just want a little bit of time to not be doing it and get, excited about it again. It does bring me a lot of joy and a lot of energy talking to you here like this, talking about a recipe, even days when I'm feeling a little down, stressed, sad. I sit in front of my computer. I think about what I'm going to say. I start talking. I start smiling. That makes me happier. Then I feel better generally through the day. So it does bring me a lot of joy. It just does take a lot of time and energy. And I'm just going to recharge and have a little bit of a break. I guess that is my happy Mother's Day to me, taking care of myself. I hope that you are also taking care of yourself. And if there's something that you are finding a little overwhelming, that's a little tough, if you can get a break from it, you have to give yourself permission sometimes, right? So that is what I am doing. But I am going to do this full episode for sure. So I will be back after this little musical break and I will be telling you about a special Mother's Day recipe. I'll be right back. In honor of Mother's Day today, I wanted to talk about something that my mom and I both love. And the thing I have thought of is Greek salad, or sort of. Well, the recipe I'm going to be telling you about is not Greek salad, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about Greek salad and our love of it. So I am pretty sure that neither my mom or I had had feta cheese until at least I was a teenager. And I can remember her being very excited when Greek salads started showing up on menus everywhere, including my parents' own restaurant menus as well. And she would order these Greek salads with the feta cheese and the Kalamata olives everywhere that we went. And her favorites were when a restaurant did more of like, I think what they call a village style Greek salad now, where it doesn't really have lettuce. It's more of the bell peppers and cucumbers and tomatoes, olives and feta cheese, all those bigger crunchy pieces and not so much of the lettuce. That was always her favorite. So I will say that pretty much every time that I have Greek salad now, I think of her. And really every time I have a really good feta cheese, I also remember those days. I really vividly remember being in Toronto's Greek area, which is where I used to live when I lived in Toronto. And we would often go for lunch there, and there would always be Greek salads, feta cheese, olives, the whole deal. So yeah, those are really nice memories that I have. Sunny days in Toronto's Danforth area and having Greek salads with my mom. So the recipe I am telling you about today, as is kind of the trend I've been doing on this podcast lately, of telling you about a recipe that isn't really a recipe on my site, but is something that I make. I am telling you about that today. It is for a Greek pasta, actually, that has feta cheese in it. Now, I didn't realize this until just now. I was just Googling Greek pasta to see if the thing that I call Greek pasta is what other people call Greek pasta. And I'm getting the impression that when people say Greek pasta, they mean Greek pasta salad, and it's a cold dish, which sounds delicious, but that is not what I make. I do this thing when I'm home alone for dinner, quite often, actually. So it is a hot pasta dinner that has feta and tomatoes and bell peppers and olives, and I am obsessed with it and I love it. I have not actually ever made it for my mom, but Mom, if you are listening, you've got to give this a try. And if you don't try it next time we are together, I will make it for you. That is a promise. So this meal that I make for myself is based on a veggie side dish that I make all the time when my other family members are here as well. So they don't all love feta cheese the way I do, so I tend to not include it in our meals when we're all here. But I do this veggie pasta side dish quite often. And what you do is you take a colander and you put it in a big bowl, bigger than the colander. By colander, I mean strainer. I think some people call it a strainer or a sieve. I think those are different slightly, but it doesn't matter. Something that you would drain pasta with, a big one. Okay. You get that out and you put some finely chopped veggies in there. You can do some drained canned beans, but it's like tomatoes, bell peppers. You could do little bits of broccoli or cauliflower. You can do frozen vegetables that you've thawed, and you put those all into the colander, and then you cook your pasta according to the regular pasta directions. And then you pour that cooked pasta, instead of draining it in a colander in the sink, you drain it in this colander that you have all those veggies in. And the water pours through over the vegetables and then sits in that bowl underneath and just kind of heats those veggies. You leave them for just a couple of minutes, and then you pull up the colander and you transfer the pasta and the veggies from there into the pot that you cooked the pasta in. And then you add in some of the pasta cooking water, some olive oil, and some Parmesan cheese, and you stir it all up, and it's just a really, really quick and easy veggie side dish. Delicious, easy. So it is basically that, but I add the feta cheese and the olives. So you're going to put on a pot of water and you're going to cook your pasta according to the pasta directions. You're going to have that colander in that big bowl, and into the colander, you're putting a whole tomato or two chopped up pretty small, like half an inch anyways, a bell pepper that you've cored and chopped up, and then a can of Kalamata olives. I like to get ones that are already pitted so that I'm not trying to deal with the pits in the pasta dinner, right? Okay, so you put that into there, and then you finish cooking the pasta and pour it over that colander so that water is draining through over top of everything. And then you take an 8-ounce brick of feta cheese and you nestle it in that hot pasta. So those veggies are being warmed by the pasta water and the pasta over top of them. And then your feta cheese is just kind of going in the middle of that. You can break it up if you want to, or you could leave it whole right in there. And then you get out your rasp or a microplane, whatever you call it, something like a fine shredder, and you shred a clove of raw garlic right onto the top of that. Drizzle on a little bit of olive oil there, some salt and some pepper. And then after the few minutes of the pasta sitting on top of the veggies, you lift the colander out, transfer it to the pot that you cooked the pasta in, add a little bit of that pasta water and stir, kind of breaking up the feta. And you just have this really incredible Greek feta pasta. The feta, some of it stays in chunks and some of it mixes with the pasta water and the olive oil to kind of like form a sauce on the noodles. You have those veggies that are just very gently cooked from that hot water. They're not crunchy, like that village Greek salad that my mom liked, but they're not like super soft and mushy either. They're just that perfect in between. And yeah, you've got a really delicious, really easy Greek feta pasta that my mom would love, that I love, that the rest of my family doesn't like. A perfect thing to make for yourself on Mother's Day, if I do say so myself. Something that nobody but you likes, right? Okay, and well, like I said, that's not a recipe that is on the website, although as I'm talking about it, I am thinking that I definitely need to write that up properly and give it a real test and do some photos and video of it and put it on the website, because it really is that good and that easy, and I'm sure many of you would like to actually have the actual recipe. So maybe I will add that to my recipe development list, and if it makes it, I will be telling you about it in October. Okay, I will be right back after a break to tell you what is going on in my kitchen in the week and weeks and months ahead. It'll be my last update, I guess. This is the part of the show where I usually tell you what is going on in my kitchen in the week or so ahead. But since there's not going to be a new episode for a while, I thought I'd tell you all of my plans for the next little while. First, I'll tell you what is new and live on the website. We have a taco soup live on cookthestory.com. And that's just really what it sounds like. It's like a tomato-based ground beef soup that has like taco seasoning in there and beans. I think there's two kinds of beans actually. And the soup itself comes together very quickly. It's very quick and easy to make. While it is simmering, you get some taco toppings ready, whatever you and your family like to have on tacos. So it could be diced tomatoes, green onions. It could be black olives. It could be some chopped avocado, some cheddar cheese, some tortilla chips that you're going to crumble over there. And you put that into bowls, and then you scoop the soup into soup bowls, and everybody adds whatever toppings they want on top. You know how much I love those kind of like customizable dinners. They make everybody happy. I'll tell you, actually, the day that I am recording this, we are having ramen soup bowls for dinner. And so I just do like the little packaged ramen, but I don't use the package of seasoning. Instead, I do sesame oil and soy sauce in there, and some kind of meat cooked in there, usually some spinach and mushrooms cooked in there as well while the noodles are cooking. And then I do all the toppings, and people put sliced bell peppers, cucumbers, carrots, maybe cilantro, green onion on their own soup bowls on top. And then everybody gets a dinner that they love. It works really, really well. So I know we think of that kind of dinner for like burrito bowls or bowl kind of dinners, but it works really well for a variety of soups. Also, including that taco soup that is live on Cook the Story. So now I'm going to tell you about my cooking plans. So you know that I'm taking a bit of a hiatus from this podcast. And like I said, it's because I'm a little bit overwhelmed, but there's also just a ton going on. My kids are here for the summer, like not in school, which tends to mean we're doing stuff and busy. We are traveling quite a bit this summer as well. And then I am helping my son and his girlfriend also move into their dorms and head off to university. So yeah, there's just a lot going on. And I was thinking that it's going to be harder than usual to do a lot of cooking days with everybody here and the travel and all that activity going on. And so to make my life easier in the long run, although even crazier in the short run, in the month of May, we are cooking through all the recipes that we need to get us through to September, just so that we have an easier time. I'll still be working on some things, editing pictures, doing some videos here and there, but the bulk of the recipe testing and the photography and planning and everything will have been done, which should free me up for all of the life stuff that's going on. So that means, like, normally I usually have just a few things on my list that I'm testing, but I actually sat down and came up with a really large list of things that I want to do and that we are moving through fairly quickly. So I'm going to tell you about some of them, and then, you'll be seeing them go on Cook the Story and the Cookful over the next few months, even though I'm not telling you about them in a more regular way. I'll tell you about them when I get back though. So I am experimenting with some boursin cheese, which I've been told I say in a fancy way, and then Americans say boursin. Anyways, it's kind of like a cream cheese with herbs and garlic in it. And you know what? It's kind of like that Greek pasta that I just told you about. I'm experimenting with just essentially mixing it with cooked pasta and some other ingredients to make a quick pasta sauce. I already know that it works very well with cream cheese and garlic, actually, because that is something that I do quite often. So the cream cheese version is one that I've already tested many times and that I am photographing. The boursin one, I am going to do a round of testing on. You know what? Right now, I am adding that Greek pasta to my list of things to do because it's so good and I already know how to do it. And you know what? It needs to be on that list. So that's going there. And there are some seasoning blends. I have a whole bunch of seasoning blends on the Cookful, and I know people really love them because I do the amounts that you need to make a half cup. That's like a standard 4-ounce spice jar is half a cup. But then I also give the amounts for just doing 2 tablespoons. So, when you're about to make a recipe and it calls for Italian seasoning or taco seasoning or Cajun seasoning or any of those and you don't have it, you don't want to make a whole half cup batch. You just need enough for the recipe. So I give you the amounts to make 2 tablespoons. So there are a bunch of seasoning blends that I don't already have on the site that we are doing. There is a chicken seasoning, a jerk seasoning, a seasoned salt. I can't believe that one wasn't on my site already. I make a little batch of that probably every 3rd week because I love it on so many things. I just use it as a base to season chicken and fish and potatoes. So my basic seasoned salt recipe, I am finally making into a half cup amount and photographing that. There's a Greek seasoning on this list. I had to know that I was going to do a little Greek theme maybe in the back of my mind. And chili seasoning, a seasoning blend that you have on hand to make a quick pot of chili. When you just want to make a quick pot of chili and you don't want to have to grab all the different jars out of the pantry, you just grab one. And we're doing a salmon salad that is not canned salmon and not like a fillet on a green salad. It's kind of somewhere in between. It's a nice flaky salmon, like cooked salmon that you flake and then add a little bit of mayonnaise, lemon, some radishes and green onion. I want to test that with and without lemon zest. Sometimes I find lemon zest just makes a recipe, it's the thing that makes it delicious. And other times it can be overpowering, and I'm not yet sure about this one. So yeah, that salmon salad and a remoulade sauce. We're doing a few different sauces as well. I can tell you that part of why I'm doing sauces is that I've become obsessed with Toum, Toum. That's a Lebanese garlic sauce. It is so fluffy and light and beautiful and so garlicky. I love it. And I had it at some restaurants over the years and wanted to make some myself and ran into trouble because my blender is not very powerful. I don't have one of those super high-end blenders because I am always trying to test recipes for the average home cook, and not everybody has a crazy fancy blender, and my blender could not do the Toum. It can't do aioli either, which is really annoying. My big stand blender can't do either one. It's not powerful enough and the blades don't go low enough in the bottom. Anyways, I had to improvise how to make the Toum using an immersion blender, and I did figure it out, and I decided to share that as well as an aioli recipe that I can make with the tools I have in my kitchen. And a cheater aioli, basically a mayonnaise and garlic dip sauce. So good on fries. And yes, I'm looking at this list and I'm getting excited as I look over it. We're doing some air fryer French fries, but to go with them, the fry sauce that I love, that my kids love. It's sort of the basic fry sauce that people might be familiar with already. It's like mayo, ketchup, and relish, except with the dill relish instead of the sweet relish. You probably knew I was going to say that. I don't like anything with sweet relish in it, but love everything with dill relish in it. So that is our fry sauce. It's so good. It also has a couple of other things. I know it has paprika. I can't remember offhand, but yeah. So we're doing that, a honey mustard sauce, and a couple of stir fry recipes. So that is basically what I am working on over the next few weeks, doing a whole bunch of recipes at once so that when my kitchen has lots of teenagers in it and we're not here as much and all of that is going on, I have everything done and can just work on getting the photos edited and the blog posts up for you guys. So that is what's happening in my kitchen over the next, 3 or so weeks. Well, I think I have stretched out this episode for as long as I can. This last part, I've been talking for almost 10 minutes here, and I know it's because I don't want this to end. I'm having some trouble saying goodbye and realizing that this is the last time I'm going to be speaking at this microphone for several months, and it feels strange. I want to say thank you so much for listening and for being so supportive. I love hearing from you, and I hope you'll still email me, and you're still going to be getting emails from me too if you subscribe to my newsletter, and I'm still around. I'm just not recording the podcast. So please continue writing, comment on the blog post. If you want to hear from me, please send me an email, cookthestory@gmail.com. I always love hearing from you. And well, I'm not leaving you without my voice. There will be episodes for you every day, so you can listen, and hopefully maybe there's some you haven't heard before. You'll get new ideas, and I'll be back before you know it. I'm going to miss this. Thank you so much for being there. I am Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, cookfor2.us, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. Have a great weekend. Let's get cooking.